what is his nature, what is his original constitutional position, that I am a soul, and the soul does not change. The position of the soul does not change. And therefore, the context of the Gita is Krishna is trying to convince Arjuna and inspire Arjuna to remain focused in his identity as a soul, as an Atma, part and parcel of the Supreme. And that is the focus which we are talking about. To remain focused on one's identity as a servant of Krishna. Krishna doesn't change. The Atma doesn't change. The relationship between Atma and Krishna does not change. And how we can remain focused in that identity. That's the context of the Ramayana, that's the context of the Mahabharata, that's the context of all the pastimes described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, that is what is described here, that when we are going through life, we will go through either prosperity or adversity. When there is prosperity, one may feel elated, one may feel proud. When there is adversity, one may feel morose, one may feel defeated, one may feel loss of enthusiasm. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is describing that both pride in success and moroseness in defeat is useless. In both situations, how you remain focused in your identity as a servant. When there is prosperity, you are focused. I continue serving. When there is adversity, you remain focused. How I continue serving. So during the Mahabharata battle, just before the battle happened, Duryodhana came to know that Sahadev carries a special power. He's able to figure out what is the future. So Duryodhana comes to Sahadev and says, I heard you have this power, this skill. Please tell us what we should do so that we can win. So this was the Vedic times. And you could make such proposals and still expect a positive answer. So Sahadev immediately said, you should do Kalabali Yajna on Amavas day. If you do Kalabali Yajna on Amavas day, you will be successful. Whoever does that will win. So immediately, Duryodhana started preparing. Right? So the next day was supposed to be Amavas. So Duryodhana was preparing. So Krishna found out that Pandavas have again blundered. 100 times I've tried to tell them how to be diplomatic, but they always spill the beans. So now I have to cover up. So Krishna gathers a group of Brahmins on the bank of Yamuna and starts doing Pindadan. He starts doing some kind of puja for the forefathers, which is usually done on Ekadashi, on Amavas. But Krishna started doing one day before. So even the Brahmins got confused. And they started discussing, Amavas is tomorrow. Why is he asking us to do today? Other Brahmins said, what is your problem? He is going to give Dakshina. And after all, he is Krishna. He can always move things around, He has that privilege. Don't ask too many questions. So the puja was going on. Forefathers Yajna, Pitri Puja. Two people were confused, sun and the moon.
So the sun god asked the moon god, when is Amavas? Moon god said, as per my calculation, it is tomorrow. The sun god said, why is doing today? Moon god said, sometimes he may also make mistake, So let us go and give him some gentle feedback. Everybody needs feedback once in a while. So they came down and called Krishna that, my dear Lord, we want to have a private conversation. Because they didn't want to embarrass him in front of everybody. They were quite convinced with their calculation. So Krishna said, what is the matter? So they said, Arey Baba, you are doing this Pitr Tarpan today. Amavas is tomorrow. Amavas is tomorrow. So Krishna looked at Chandra and Surya and said, what is the definition of Amavas? When Chandra and Surya are standing in straight line, that is Amavas. You are standing in front of me. Today is Amavas. So he changed the whole narrative. And then immediately called the Pandavas and made them do the Kalabali Yajna then and there. And then Duryodhana, as per calendar, did the next day. And he thought he has done it. He didn't know that match was already fixed by Krishna one day before. So Krishna sometimes intervened and he ensured that the Pandavas became victorious. One time Karna attacked Yudhishthir Maharaj so bad that Yudhishthir Maharaj had to retreat. His chariot driver brought him back to his camp. Arjuna started searching, where is Yudhishthir? Where is Yudhishthir? He couldn't find. Arjuna got frantic. He thought something has happened. Came back to the camp. He found Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj looked at Arjuna and said, Arjuna, you came back? Did you kill Karna and come? Arjuna said, no, I didn't kill Karna. I was searching for you. Yudhishthir said, how could you leave the battlefield and not kill Karna and come? You are such a coward. Your Gandiva is useless. Arjuna picked up his Gandiva and put the arrow on the Gandiva, aimed at Yudhishthir and looked at Krishna and said, I have taken a vow, Krishna. Whoever criticizes my Gandiva, I will kill him. Krishna said, I spoke the Gita so that you can kill Duryodhana, not Yudhishthir. Yes, that is fine, but I have taken a vow. I am going to kill him. Krishna said, do you know, as per Shastra, there are two ways of killing someone. One, with weapons. Second, by criticizing. Arjuna put the Gandiva down, started criticizing Yudhishthir, left and right. Remembered all the things he always wanted to say, maybe. He criticized him left, right, and center. After that, he felt so bad. He fell at Yudhishthir Maharaj's feet, started sobbing. He said, I'm so sorry. You are my worshipable elder brother. I criticized you. He got up, took up a sword, placed the sword against his neck, looked at Krishna and said, I have offended Yudhishthir. Now I want to kill myself. Krishna beat his head. Here, one more problem. Krishna looked at Arjuna and said, do you know, as per Shastra, there are two ways of killing yourself. Arjuna said, how many ways are there? Krishna said, one way is you kill yourself with a weapon. Second way of killing yourself is you glorify yourself. I did this. I did that. If I was not there, this could not have happened. Do you know that? I was the one who was behind this. So, taking credit for yourself is equivalent to suicide spiritually. So Arjuna placed the sword down, started glorifying. He had enough data based on the past. So after some time, Krishna said, enough. And thus Krishna personally would intervene to make sure that the Pandavas' protection is done. So these are stories people like. Oh, Krishna protects. You worship Krishna, At the unexpected moment, he manifests and he turns things around and makes us successful. Therefore, he is reliable. But then Mahabharata puts us through other episodes where suddenly the Pandavas have to go to the forest for 12 years and they cannot do anything about it. Why does Krishna do this? And then Abhimanyu gets killed. Abhimanyu is Arjuna's son. And Abhimanyu, in the peak of the battle, gets killed. So you may wonder, what is this? Arjuna heard the Bhagavad Gita, and this is what happens to his son. But Arjuna never questioned Krishna. So sometimes when we are confused, we think, if only Krishna was here to answer our queries of why bad things happen to good people, it would have been easy for me to get answers. But the way Krishna orchestrates is he is with the Pandavas all the time, giving them opportunity 24/7 to confront him, question him, challenge him, ask him, and get upset with him for not intervening. Because when you're going through disaster, you don't want a beautiful person smiling at you. You want the person to do something. So when the Pandavas were sentenced to the forest, when Abhimanyu was killed, when Draupadi was being disrobed, all the time Krishna was there, smiling. And when you are going through disaster, when you see someone smile, it irritates you more. Okay? I'm going through this difficulty and the guy is simply smiling. So Yudhishthira Maharaj explains to Krishna, in the 10th canto, there is a verse where he says, in future, when generations read about what we went through, although you were present, they may become afraid to be your devotees. So Arjuna, after Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna was crying. Krishna stood right next to Arjuna and Krishna started crying. Looking at Krishna crying, Arjuna said, my son died, I am crying, why are you crying? Krishna said, I just spoke the whole Gita to you. After hearing the Gita, still you are crying. So seeing that, I am crying. What did you understand? So therefore, the art of focus, as described by the Bhagavad Gita, is trying to shift our focus from being focused on being blissful in prosperity and morose in adversity. That becomes normal conditioned soul's focus. Celebrate the success, curse the losses. That becomes the default response. So Gita is helping us shift the focus. If there is prosperity, if there is adversity, in both, remain focused on serving the supreme will. Knowing that behind the success is the supreme will, knowing that behind the failure and the adversity is the supreme will, let me continue to serve and please the supreme will in all circumstances. That basically is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada, when he came to America, to London, he was asked, Swamiji, why you came to London? And Prabhupada said, for 300, 400 years, British have been stealing so many jewels from India, but they forgot to steal the most important and precious jewel of India, the Bhagavad Gita. I have come to give home delivery. And since last 56 years, ISKCON has distributed more than 500 million Bhagavad Gitas all over the world. But why? Why are we distributing this? Why are we running temples? Why are we disturbing all of you in the evenings? So that you are able to arrive at a new focus. How to focus on serving and pleasing the divine will in all circumstances, whether in prosperity or in adversity. And therefore, Bhishmadev, when he looks at the Pandavas, he says, Sarvam kalakritam manye bhavata yadadapriyam sapalo yatvashe loko vayor iva ghanavali. Just like the clouds, they're carried away by the wind. All our plans can be smashed in one moment by the supreme will. Sapalo yat vashe loko vayor iva ghanavali. And therefore, the modern education system is preparing us for employment, for engagement, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But we need spiritual education to prepare us for unexpected outcomes, which are enforced upon us by the divine will. And that, how we respond to that will determine how we actually face the supreme challenge at the moment of death. And therefore, to begin changing that focus from just focusing on how to become prosperous and how to avoid adversity, you stop focusing on becoming prosperous and avoiding adversity to start focusing on how to serve, how to use prosperity in service, how to use adversity in service. And that is known in the Bhagavad Gita as Sthita Pragya. And how does that transformation in focus happen? Through association. Satsanga. Amanistarite tomar iha agaman. Poramo doyalu tumi potita pavan. When Mahaprabhu meets Ramananda Rai says, you have arrived just to deliver me. Parama dayalu. You are the supreme most compassionate. Patita pavan. You are the deliverer of the fallen. And so whose patita is described? Vedanishta madhye ardheka veda mukhe mane. Vedanishidha papa kore dharma nahi gune. One who knows what is to be done, what is not to be done, still does not follow. That is patita. So therefore, we have to realize that when we come in the association, that association gives us the strength to transform our attitudes. And gradually, this gives you the ability to see the divine will orchestrating everything. What is one of the biggest causes of fear and anxiety? To not know what is the cause behind something. So by hearing, by worshipping, by chanting on a regular basis, what is happening is gradually the curtain behind the divine will is opened up and we are able to perceive the hand of Krishna behind everything. Then we are able to see that, yes, Krishna has made things like this. I have been given certain privileges. Others have been given other privileges. I cannot complain about it. I need to just accept it. Bhima was thinking, why Arjuna is such a good singer? Why I cannot be a good singer? All the elite cultural events, Arjuna is invited. I am only invited to smash others, bash others. I also want to be receiving the honor of singing. And so then he approached a teacher, a music teacher, and threatened him to teach. The music teacher had no choice. It was Bhima. And Bhima also chose a vantage point in the kingdom at the entrance so that the whole city sees him practice. So that he wanted to rebrand himself. And I'm also a musician. But his voice was so loud, the whole city was shaking. People came and complained to Yudhishthir Maharaj, "Arey, control your brother." He said, "Arey, whoever tries to give him feedback, it will be at his risk." So Yudhishthir finally said, okay, only one person can give feedback, that is Draupadi. So Draupadi goes to Bhima and says, music is a very refined art. You should not sing like this in front of everybody. You should go deep into the mountains and the forest. And there, you should sing from the bottom of your soul to your heart's content. So Bhima said, that's a good idea. So he went high up in the mountains, in the forest, and he started shouting. Suddenly, one person came in front of him. And he looked at Bhima and got embarrassed and started running away. Bhima said, "Hey, who are you? Why are you running?" He said, no, actually, I'm a washerman. I lost my donkey. I heard your song. I thought my donkey is here by hearing your sound. So Bhima got very offended. He retired from singing. So then Yudhishthir Maharaj called him one day and said, go and call Krishna from Dwarka and he must come before sunset. So Bhima said, okay, I'll do that. So he went from Yudhishthir Maharaj's cabin and went and had some prasad. After having prasad, Bhima thought, let me take some rest. Then I will go. Little rest. He went for little rest. He went on sleeping. Yudhishthir Maharaj entered his room again and said, where is Krishna? Bhima said, oh, sorry, I slept off. Yudhishthir Maharaj chastised him. You're such a lazy bum. You're useless. When Bhima heard that, he became so morose. He started crying. He closed the door and started crying out to Krishna, my dear Lord, only few minutes remain before sunset. Somehow, if you do not manifest, forever Yudhishthir Maharaj will think I'm useless. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Bhima opens the door. Yudhishthir Maharaj is standing there with a beaming smile saying, hey, Bhima, you never told me you went to Dwarka and called Krishna. Bhima said, did I? And Yudhishthir Maharaj turned back and Krishna was standing there. So Yudhishthir said, well, don't play pranks like that. If you have been there, and you should tell, don't be so humble. Bhima got bewildered. He said, I didn't go to Dwarka. I only cried out to Krishna. And Krishna said, when you had employed a music teacher and you were crying, that didn't impress me. But when you cried out helplessly for me, then I got so inspired that I manifested from Dwarka in no time. So Krishna reciprocates with his devotees helpless cry for service. And therefore, Bhima realized that yes, different people may be endowed with different qualities. It is just like a flower bouquet. The variety in that flower bouquet is pleasing to the Lord. So there is no point comparing that I have this skill, that person has that skill, this person has that skill, or whatever. The focus has to be on how I can serve with the skills I have. So again, if the focus is on personal fame, personal recognition, then you will become, distracted. We had one brahmachari in our temple many years ago. He was not a singer. He could only sing Prabhupada's dhun, straight Hare Krishna tune. And that too with some difficulty. So he was doing a congregation program, and for after 3 years, the congregation members asked him, 3 years you are singing same tune. Can we have a little variety? There is no problem. Tunes are for free. You can always sing a little different. Is it possible? He said, oh, why not? He went to the temple, told one devotee who was a good singer, please teach me one new tune. Any good tune. So he taught him a tune. He learned it. He thought he learned it. He came to the program, sat on the Vyasasan. Kirtan began. He forgot the tune. He tried to recollect. When you don't have singing skills, you'll hear so many tunes, Vayasaki Prabhu and Madhav Prabhu and this and that, and you will think, I got it. Because the tune is going inside. But when you try to bring it out, it doesn't come out. Something else comes out. So then the congregation said, hey, we told you to sing new tunes, still you sang same. I tried. So next time I will definitely do. He came back and told this devotee, you taught me, but I forgot. Teach me a way in which I will not forget. So he said, there is only one way. Program starts at 7:30. I'll start teaching you at 6 o'clock. After 15-20 minutes, you continue singing all the way non-stop till you sit on the Vyasas. If you stop for one mantra also, you'll forget. He said, that's a great idea. So he learned the tune and kept singing all the way from Chopati till the program. At the program, there was the altar. So he did obeisances at the altar and said, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya. And when he got up, he forgot. So after that, he gave up. He said, whatever I have, let me continue with this. So therefore, the art of focus is on focusing how I can serve in all circumstances of prosperity and adversity. Let me utilize all the skills which I have in Krishna's service. And that's what Prabhupada was a successful leader, because Prabhupada was having the 5 qualities of a leader. He was humble, he was enthusiastic, he appreciated all, he recognized excellence, and he gave creative freedom. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada could inspire so many devotees who were not at all coming from focused backgrounds. But Prabhupada inspired them, engaged them, so that they could remain focused, made them resilient, and made them realize that transformation doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes you need a lot of patience. And therefore, temples are created to provide the greatest asset which people need. Because loss of money is not loss. Loss of health is not loss. Loss of reputation is not loss. Loss of a job may not be loss. Loss of a relationship is not a real loss. But the real tangible loss is loss of hope. When someone has all the assets but no hope, he cannot do anything. If someone has no assets but all the hope, he can do the impossible. And therefore, ISKCON has been created to instill and inspire within people this asset of hope. We had one brahmachari who joined the temple when I joined. So one of the first services I got was in the kitchen. And in the kitchen, when I was serving, this new brahmachari was also sent. It was a tall, hefty brahmachari. So the management thought he'll be a good asset in the kitchen. So after 1 week, this brahmachari started complaining to me, hey, why they have sent me in the kitchen to serve. But do you know what is my background? I said, no. He said, I was such a big preacher in my village. When I would stand up in the village and give lecture on Sanatan Dharma, whole village would stand up. So I joined ISKCON to give lecture on Sanatan Dharma, not to make chapati. And these guys have sent me in the kitchen to make chapati. I said, why are you telling me? I am also making chapati. So what is the point you and me discussing here? So you maybe complain to somebody else. So no, I'm telling you because, you are here and I don't know how they will react. I have to express my frustration somewhere. So every day he would come and complain. I came to preach Sanatan Dharma in ISKCON and you are making me do chapati. After 2 weeks, he came to me and said, I'm leaving the temple. I said, where are you going? I'm going home. Why? I came to preach Sanatan Dharma, not make chapati. 10 years later, I met him at a program. He came running to me and said, you know what? After I left the temple, I got married. My wife got back pain. Every day at home, I am making chapati. Maybe I should have been a little more patient. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita teaches us that to create tangible impact, you need 5 things. The art of focus is focus on purity in intention. Second, you focus on inspiration to act as per that intention. Third, have the integrity to follow through. Fourth, have the intelligence to make the right choices. And fifth, have the intensity to make sure you continue in the midst of all ups and downs. When there is intention, inspiration, integrity, intelligence, and intensity, then only there can be tangible impact in your ability to not only accomplish through your skills, but also retain your will in the midst of all prosperities and adversities. And that's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to share with us the chanting of the holy names in all circumstances. Kehana che keha gaye Sri Krishna Gopal Premete bhasil lok stri vriddha abal. For all classes of society, Lord Chaitanya distributed the holy names. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged them in the chanting, which is a chant where we are aspiring to engage in service. No matter what has happened the previous day, if you have gone through prosperity today or adversity today, tomorrow morning, you only aspire and pray for service. Please engage me in your service. And therefore, Chaudikete Sabaloka Bole Hori Hori Prema Veshe Madhye Nritya Kore Gaura Hari. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, standing in the middle of everybody, chanting the holy names, is demonstrating that the most beautiful thing in life is to be always aspiring for service. Matta simha pray prabhu korila gaman prema beshe jai korinama sankirtan. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through the South Indian forests, chanting the holy names. And so Mahaprabhu said, Kirtaniya sada hari. Whether there is prosperity or adversity, always aspire for seva. So that is the art of focus as described in our beautiful scriptures, the Gita, the Bhagavatam, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that is the art of focus we need to learn in the practice of Krishna consciousness as we navigate through the ups and downs in life. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. So anyone has any questions? Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You talked about how sometimes we feel frustrated that we cannot some service or something we want to do because we're not given that gift by Krishna. It can frustrate us because we want to do it but we're not. Is there something to be said about just having the desire to serve Krishna in that way and actually being actually going through an evolution or something to obtain that skill by the mercy of Krishna so we can continue to serve him in the way we want to serve?
Yeah. I mean, you can always pray. There is no harm in praying. But you should always know that the context of service is you're focused on the person you're serving. If the person you're serving wants you to be engaged in one way, so that's where he or she would want you to serve. And sometimes things always do not work just by seeing someone or imitating someone. Like Prabhupada's one servant was, Prabhupada was on a morning walk in Venice Beach and this servant was walking way behind. And suddenly a big dog started chasing this servant. So the servant started running. The dog was chasing him. And he looked at Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, save me, save me. And Prabhupada turned around and he saw this strange scene that the servant is running, his dhoti is flying, and the dog is like running behind. So Prabhupada turned around, had his stick right above his head, crouched a little bit, his eyes locked against the dog's eyes, and Prabhupada shouted, "Hut!" And the American dog had never heard something like that. It was like totally bewildered, sat on the ground, tail under its feet. And the disciples were impressed that Prabhupada can control dogs. And 3 years later, this same servant was in Jaipur making chapatis for Prabhupada. And from the window, a monkey came in Jaipur. So the servant thought, I know the technique. He picked up the rolling pin of the chapati and pointed to the monkey and said, "Hut!" The monkey picked up a big pot and hit him. So the monkey was not at all impressed. He picked up the pot and hit this guy. He came running to Prabhupada, said, I did the same thing. It didn't work. Prabhupada said, you saw, but you did not learn. So therefore, the best prayer is to request Krishna to engage you what he feels would be the best. Because you may think that I will please Krishna with my skills, but Krishna is pleased not with skill, but with your consciousness. He tastes your consciousness. So that we are in Krishna consciousness. It is not the magnitude of skill which matters, but the attitude with which you perform that activity. So sometimes you may feel absorbed performing a complex activity, but Krishna may be looking for a simple activity with which he can get pleased. So the focus has to be on his pleasure, not my pleasure. So that's what is called as Swarupagata Sukh. Swarupagata Sukh means the constitutional bliss of the soul is in giving pleasure to the Supreme Lord. So that is what is demonstrated in Ramayana when Ram is sent to the forest. Sita travels with him. Lakshman travels with him. Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanno Bahir Prana Evappara. Lakshman means one who has Lakshmi. But what Lakshmi? The Lakshmi of Seva, prosperity. Okay? Thank you. Let us turn to Mataji here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. What are tips to keep that the correct attitude? Because we come across where we're trying to do a service, maybe for a guru or senior devotee, and maybe we feel like we've failed or they've given us some criticism on the service. How do we maintain the enthusiasm to serve or keep the correct consciousness?
Well, in your jobs, you give authority to the HR to give feedbacks. So why not to Krishna and Krishna's representatives? So we should know that, as part of service, the focus is on the person we are serving. And if the person we are serving needs to be pleased, then some feedback is mandatory. Otherwise, how you'll improve? Prabhupada was in Africa, and then it was the first day. And then in the next day in the morning, when Prabhupada came to give a class, before that he saw that many of his clothes have been stolen, which had been dried. It was not there. And then when Prabhupada sat for the class, he saw one or two local brahmacharis wearing it. So Prabhupada began his class by saying that you should not steal the property of spiritual master. So he began from there, Bhagavatam class. So yes, without feedback, there cannot be any improvement. But sometimes when we are serving voluntarily, the problem happens is when we are being paid for an occupation, we feel they have the right to give feedback. And when we are doing voluntarily some service, we feel we are doing so much of seva. I'm contributing my time. So we get a sense of entitlement subtly. We may not express it, but we feel it. That's the problem. Krishna, I'm giving you my time. Get it? My time. And this is how much it costs per hour. But I'm giving you my time. So because of that feeling, we become super sensitive to anything being spoken. Therefore, you ask me, I have spent 30 years trying to manage a voluntary organization. So in these titles mean nothing. You just have to inspire everybody to serve. Right? So therefore, the challenge is to get everybody to feel that we need to perform this service and please. Like when we set up our kitchen in the Yatra, Kartik Yatra, first time, we had made some arrangements for breakfast. So after 3 days, one group of devotees came and said, we will make the breakfast. I said, Arey Baba, this is for 2,000-3,000 people. Have you ever done it before? He says, no, we will try it. You should give us chance. I said, if you make a mess, I'll be criticized because I'm in charge. He says, Arey, you are not sharing mercy with others. So I said, okay, you make. So they made, and the poha they made was little hard, chipped rice, poha. So as soon as breakfast was served, it was so hard. One devotee who loves giving feedback, he came up to me and said, "Kya poha khilaya, daant toot gaya." What is that poha you made? My tooth is broken. I said, that was not poha, that was cornflakes. You are supposed to mix with your herbal tea. He said, oh really? Nobody told me. I said, you never asked me. So he got confused. I left from there. So many other people started criticizing me that, "Arey, you're making independent decisions, you are not consulting, you're doing this like this." So when there is feedback, naturally you will feel a little discouraged. But you should know that that feedback helps you remain more alert in future. Why? So that you can serve better and perform better quality of service. Right? So I think, there was Sadhu Sangha retreat, which happens in North Carolina. So Radhanath Swami was there and he was taken around by the organizers between the kirtans to show different arrangements and everything. And then they asked, Maharaj, how do you like? Maharaj said, everything is so good. And he said, when I am visiting other programs as a guest, I only see good. And when I am managing in my own project, I have to find fault. Only then things will improve. Right? So therefore, you have to allow the people whom you are serving to find fault, to give feedback, to create scope for improvement. Only then the quality of service will improve and then Krishna will be pleased. As Prabhupada said, attention to detail is the symptom of love. Okay? So we'll do some kirtan now and then that will be the end. Hare Krishna. So we have Lakshman Priya Prabhu here. All of you know him. So at the beginning of COVID 2020, April, May, both of us were cooking almost 150,000 plates of prasadam for distributing in Palghar district as COVID relief. And just after that, our Manamali Prabhu requested he needs help. So he's here, came all the way from India. So please take good care of him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. सब बोलिए. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gauri, Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Radha Gopi Vallabh Radha Gopi Vallabh Radhe. Jai Radha Gopi Vallabh Radha Gopi Vallabh Radhe. Jai Jai Jagannath Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. Jai Gauranga, 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 Jai Gauranga. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावना श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहना राधा कृष्णा जय वृंदावना श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावना श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावना श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावना श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावना श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Hiranyakashipu Purvakshana Hiranyakashipu Purvakshana Shilatam Bhanam Bhanaye Ito Narsingha Parato Narsingha Ito Narsingha Parato Narsingha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsingha Bahile Narchanga, Hridaye Narchanga. Nadasinga Madin Shaganam Prapati. Hey Kaba Para Kamala Bare Nakam Adhuta Sringa Namikam Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Jabadita Harirupa Jagadishu Hare Jagadishu Hare Jagadishu Hare Karata Malabare Nakam Adhuta Sringa Namikam Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Jabadita Hare Hare Rupa Jagadishu Hare Jai Narsinga Jai Narsinga Jai Narsinga Jai Narsinga Jai Jai Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jai Prahlad Maharaj Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki Bhaktaraj Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtodraksi Srimati's Divine Grace Labhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Bibli Sansthavaka Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtodraksi Srimati's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलियुग पावन हरि नाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की शील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेट बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की श्री राधा गोपी वल्लभ भगवान की श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की श्री निताय गौर चंद्र की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Please, thank you for joining us here today on a very, very special evening program with a very, very esteemed and very dear guest, our beloved His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. So let us, from the core of our heart, thank to His Grace Gauranga Prabhu for gracing us this evening with by his presence here at ISKCON Boston by loudly chanting Hari Bol, and give him a round of applause. Thank you. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Needless to say, he is a great inspirer. He inspires so many people, and today's talk was amazing. So we are very grateful to you, Prabhu, for enlightening us on the art of focusing. Now, about the logistics, before I actually announce a couple of more things, there is a prashadam outside, and it's a to-go prashadam because of the pandemic, COVID. We're still following the norms. So the Shri Radha Upyolat ki jai, Shri